Hello and welcome to the first episode of Toonboom Harmony Explained. I'm Vincent. I've been a professional animator working on TV cartoons for more than a year and a Toonboom Harmony teacher for several months now. I'll be showing you how to use the software efficiently for personal and professional projects. I'll try to make this series as accessible as can be, so that even if you have little to no knowledge of animation or animation softwares in general, you should be able to pick it up and produce some animations yourself. Note that it doesn't mean I won't go in depth with some tools and techniques. So, first things first, what exactly is Toonboom Harmony? To put it simply, imagine Adobe Flash or Animate, except it's on steroids and took some very useful features from TV Paint and After Effects. In other words, it's a pretty well-made and extremely versatile animation software that can handle both vectors and bitmaps. What can we make with Toonboom Harmony?
The most sophisticated and respected art form in the universe!
Now, let's boot it up and see the first important settings we've got to look at before opening a scene. So, here we have our welcome screen. As you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory. Here you have your options to create a scene, here to open a scene, and here to get some help from the official website. What we're going to focus right now is this, and see bit by bit what everything in here means. So, name, self-explanatory, it's the name of your scene. Location, it's where you're gonna save it. The rest is a bit different. It's what is going to give you the characteristic of your scenes. By default, it's HDTV 180p 24. What does that mean? It means that the scene is at a size of 180 by 1920 pixels, which is the standards for Full HD, and is at a frame rate of 24 frames per second, which is a standard in animation. You have a lot of different presets already made for you, which are really good, but if you want, you can create your own using this little plus icon here, where you can change the name of your preset, change width, height, fit, and your frame per second. Fit isn't really important. It's only going to come in place when you have to import some elements, and it's just something that governs field of view, which really is not something very important in Toonboom Harmony. You can ignore it basically. If you want to work above the 180p resolution, Toonboom can go up to 8K, and the best preset for that, in my opinion, are 4K UHD and 8K UHD. And as you can see, you can go to 8K resolution. As for frame rate, usually you're going to use either 24 frames per second or 25 frames per second. The difference is almost unnoticeable, and it's the standards for creating animation and movies in general. However, if you're working on video games, you can take the frame rate, if you want to, up to 60 frames per second, since it is the standards in this format. Aside from video games, I wouldn't recommend using 60 frames per second on normal animation. Use either 24 or 25, it doesn't matter which one. So, by default, I use HDTV 180p 25 frames per second, because it's the one I use the most and it's the one I've been using professionally. So, let's give a name to our scene, and let's start. And here we are, now that we have opened the scene. You should basically see almost exactly what I see here, minus some minor details. So I'll go over every important windows we're gonna use and some preferences to change. First thing first, we have the camera windows. We can see here the camera tab. It's the most important in Toonboom Harmony, that's why it's front and center. And it's where we're going to do most of our drawings, most of our animating, and it's where we're going to see what is going to be rendered. And you can see that by default you should have a brush tool selected here, and you can already start drawing in this. Second most important window would be the timeline, just under it. Here, this is going to be where you're gonna stack your layers, which are going to be to appear here. I can create layers here, and you can see they stack on top of each other. This is also where you go forwards and backwards in time. You can see here the red cursor is showing the current frame. I'll go over that when I cover animation more in details. Right now I'm just giving you basically a tour of the basics of the software. Third most important window is the toolbar on the left, which is going to show you most of your most important tools. Some are specifically made for selection, like these two. Some are made for everything related to drawing, or creating texts, or creating straight lines, or filling up shapes. And some are made for transformation and animating. Again, I'll go over each tool individually as I go on with this series of video. Next, we're gonna have the color window here. This is where you create and select your colors. It's where you make your palette. That's basically all there is to it. And lastly, we have the tool properties window. This is in this case I have selected the brush tool here, and this is where I can change some properties of this brush tool to change its behavior and how it can be used. Every tool on the left toolbar gives you different options in tool properties, and this is why you should always have this present and docked to the right of your screen. And lastly, one last thing that I need to show you, but that I will only cover later in this series, is the node view. What is the node view? To put it simply, it's your layers, but instead of being stacked here like it is on your timeline, they are basically presented as nodes that are connected to each other in a network. Right now you have only two layers, you can see here and here, connected to a composite that renders because it's connected to a display here, but I'll explain this more in detail later. But this is where you're going to go when either you start doing some compositing, or you're going to create puppets for animation, or you're going to create effects, maybe particles, even though the particle system in Toonboom is not great. But it's a huge tool in Toonboom Harmony, and I think I still need to just show you where it is and just explain to you the basic, even though I'm really going to go into it much later. So now that we have seen the most important windows, let's just change one little thing in the preferences. To access preferences, you go into Edit and Preferences, and in general, the first thing you're gonna change is your levels of undo. By default, I believe it's around 50 or something. It's like in Photoshop or any other software, it's the number of Control Z or undo that you can do in the software. 500 should be plenty enough, but if you feel you're going to need more, and if you know that your PC can handle having a lot of levels of undo, feel free to go above, but I think 500 is a really good number to have. That's the only thing we're going to change right now. Later I will also come back to the preferences windows to change a few things as I go along with this series of video. Right now just change the levels of undo. So that's gonna be it for today. I know you probably feel like you didn't learn a lot, but I think it's better to give a tour of the software first before going a little bit deeper into the individual tools. Anyway, join me next time where I explore all the details of vector drawing in Toonboom Harmony. Until next time, take care.